Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another session from the Wise Asylum on this Easter Sunday. So I've not really put much together tonight, to be fair, because obviously I'm pretty busy, but there are a few things that we can look at for a laugh. Any questions or anything, anybody want to talk about anything, put it to in the chat, we'll have a chat about it. But of course, Easter is an important time. In fact, people don't realise, but before they turned Christianity into a pantomime, the most celebrated celebration in the Christian year was Easter. But it had nothing to do with bunnies, it had nothing to do with eggs, or any such nonsense. It was this is the pantomime. Now, of course, the prime celebration would be Christmas. And in its current form, with Father Christmas and such, a complete invention by Coca-Cola, would you believe? In order they could sell the Coca-Cola in the winter. Totally fabricated, it's all utter nonsense. But this is where we're at. But Easter was the most important time in the Christian calendar. And whereas today everybody's worshipping something outside the self, the focus to just what the guy did, what happened, or such, and it's all going on out there. You know, it's all out there. Let's roll some eggs. Let's buy some Easter eggs. Let's buy some cards. Let's buy. This Christmas, buy. It's all about the lolly. So then who would we suggest change it to that? Well, the people that deal in the lolly, wouldn't it? You know, we know what they call themselves. Anything to undermine the importance of the New Testament in the sense that it's the way out. It's the way out of the Babylonian system. And Christmas completely lost its way, isn't it? And how many of you know that is what Christmas, Santa Claus, Father Christmas, whatever you want to call it, a complete and utter invention by Coca-Cola. And it's ridiculous. Even when we were growing up, it's been going on for so long. You have this stuff staying in your neck to the point you're little kids and you're convinced you've seen it in the sky. This is how powerful storytelling is. And then when it's backed up with TV and every grown-up, in the mix, presenting it as fact, you don't really stand a chance as a young Fleabag, do you, in believing anything other than what you're being presented with. But this Easter, as it goes on today, I mean, it doesn't even seem it has any import today like it did when I was growing up. It was an important time and people recognised it. We had 2 weeks holiday and everybody did the thing. But even in that sense, it was still projecting outside yourself, in these celebrations, you're projecting it onto Father Christmas when it's Christmas. You're projecting it onto the Easter bunny and all the garbage that goes with it, this egg roll and stuff. It's just pure nonsense. But it's been going on for a long time, and of course people don't know any different. But I've talked forever, haven't I, about what Christianity is about. Not the religion, but the doctrine. What it's getting across to you is the fact that everything outside is there to take you off your own personal spiritual path. It's all out there to knock you off, get you looking at this, focused at that, believing this fella, believing that, following this. When it's actually the main crunch of Christianity is about recognising that actually everything that you're seeking outside of yourself is actually found within. In fact, if you're looking for the source of all, you won't find it. You'll find his creation out there, and you'll find the subversive creation out there. But the source that you're actually seeking, the sustenance that everybody's seeking, is already in there. It is who you are in reality. You are an aspect of it, albeit clouded in nonsense and crap of your own character, created while you've been here, genetic memories, etc., and traits have a part to play in this particular avatar suit. And of course, transmigration of souls will explain that actually you can be carrying things through from your last experience here into this one that also have to be sort of cleansed, as it were, and removed from your character, so that the more you remove all this that's false from within your own mind as you exist in this realm, the more you're becoming or allowing the source of who you are to actually become what you are down here. And you know, this sort of theme that we have for Easter today pretty much gets lost in bunnies and eggs. Oh, it's for the children. Well, okay, but you're not actually giving them anything of value. Oh yeah, you're giving them chocolate. So if it's Cadbury's, you're getting aborted stem cell from fetuses. So that's doubly not good for them. If it's Nestle, God knows what you're getting in there. You know what I'm saying? You're actually not doing them any favours whatsoever. And also, you're feeding them, or the copy that you've been programmed yourself to believe Easter's all about. But if you take on board the idea that the kingdom that we seek is within, the power that we seek is within, to reconnect with the Father is connecting with yourself from within, cleansing always, so that you're coming for, you're constantly moving to bring forth a more purer aspect of who you are. And then there you get the idea that we are all of God, and we could all become the representation of the Heavenly Father of the beginnings, the more we move ourselves by removing what's false. So if you take that as the basic foundation of what the man were teaching, then Easter is not so much about let's all remember what he did, so per se. It's about, this is our measure. We've just travelled another year. Now what were we focused to in that year? Were we focused to the jingle jangle? Were we accumulating more money? Did we want a bigger house? Did we want a bigger car? Did we want our offspring to have better clothes than the classmates so that we could show off? Blah-de-blah-de-blah. Is that what you spent your entire year on? Well done, you. Hey, whip parade. There you go. You've achieved nothing. Okay? You've achieved absolutely nothing. If, however, for the past year, you've been consistently moving at your own speed, there's no set rules for speed, you're in control of your own personal journey. But if during that last year, you've been moving to remove what you know is false because you don't want to be living and expressing what's false in your own character trait in your life, then this is your measure On Friday, you pinned yourself to the cross and you said, show me what I've achieved this year. Have I achieved nothing? Or have I actually cleansed parts of my being that are no longer necessary for my spiritual growth? And then you get to Sunday and you're going to rise, that he who are risen again. There you go. You will rise in accordance with what it is. You've asked the question, you've pinned yourself on the cross, and on Sunday you're going to get a glimmer of whether you've achieved anything, or you're still there in the afternoon and the evening thinking, I need more money, I need a bigger car, I need a better house, I need this, I need that, blah, blah, blah. There is your answer. There's your answer for the actual reality of what Easter is about. Has the Christ within you risen a little bit further up that spine, as it were, and ready for this next year, so you can expand on what you've done the last year? Hopefully, if you've achieved even just a small bit, your outlook for as you move into this next year should just be that little bit clearer, just that little bit more in tune with the Christ energy as it was. Now, I've never heard anybody talk like this before about Christianity, because of course it's lost to the fantasy. But that's the reality of it. There is the game. And of course Christmas, the solstice, is where you've progressed through, you have the autumn, you've reaped the harvest of your physical activities, and then you go into the dark side of life, where you get through the winter solstice, and then of course your subconscious is showing itself to you, you know, and you've got that dark time of winter to reevaluate yourself again until you start to see those signs of spring, and you get to this point here. Put yourself on the cross, you've risen again today. Are you a different character, or are you just the same? Or have you got even worse, you know? And that's the reality of these old, proper ways to celebrate what is basically a teaching. Not something to be worshipped, not something to argue about in the sense that, is there a Trinity, is there a this? I mean, look at what they've achieved, these word wizards, these spellcasters, in relation to what people discuss in relation to, does the entire New Testament have value because it's based entirely on this? Well, you know, if something doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense. Now, you're welcome to carry on believing, because you don't want to acknowledge that actually it doesn't make sense. I will not fit in if I don't believe that, if I don't carry on and pretend. If I don't pretend that I know what crack is, I'm not going to fit in. Why the fuck do you want to fit in with the lunatic asylum? Don't join the lunatics. Don't copy the lunatics. If it doesn't make sense, it's because it's not sense. Don't copy it. Don't follow it. Say bye-bye to toodaloo. And certainly don't pass it on to your offspring. Because everything you don't do, they're going to have a bash at. You know, and if you're a potent mother or father and you're demanding, you will do what I say, you will be a carbon copy of me. I've said you're going to be a footballer, you will be a footballer. I've said you're going to be on X Factor, you will be on X Factor. I say you're a trans ginger, you will be a trans ginger. I don't think mum and dad recognise just what ill effect they have on their offspring by forcing their own shit on their offspring. And of course we all have the same opportunity as we get older and we start to find ourselves and we get to that point where we're moving from the youth into grown-up-ship. We don't use that term adultery, do we? Then it's on you. You can either carry on copying, or as you've been taught, honour your mother and father by doing what they tell you, even if they're thick. It's not honouring your mother and father, is it? You honour your mother and father because you get to a point you go, fair dues, Cap, I can tell that you can't move forward, you're stuck where you're at, that's fine for you, but honestly, it's no good for me. I'm going to honour you, and I'm going to move our bloodline out of this mist and nonsense, so that maybe when you come back next time, I've created a better platform foundation for you to come back into. Hopefully. You might carry on being thick as pig shit and undo it, but it doesn't matter. It's my job to do what I can in order to give you that little lift. So that next time you come back, thrust into your bloodlines, it might be a bit better for you. You know? And then if somebody's done some of that black magic down line, well, your bloodline's cursed. So that's even worse. You've got to undo that malarkey as well. And there's very few people can attack that. It's far too complex. But that's basically the game. And so today is important because right now, as we're talking, ask yourself, have you changed any? Are you still fixated to mammon, the nonsense, the garbage, the jingle jangle? Or have you actually learned something in the last 12 months? On your own bat, I'm not talking about specifically from being a member of the Wise Asylum. I'm talking about in your own personal journey. Ask yourself that question tonight before you go to Bobo's and just think to yourself, am I a different character than I were last time this happened? If so, give yourself a round of applause because you've moved in the right direction. And that Christ figure that everybody prays to come back, out there, praying out there, of course, for some guy with sandals on and a beard, to come back and say, I've saved you all. You see, because in doing that projection, you've given these fruit bats out there the ability to say, we've found him, we've got him, he's coming, and he says, we are the boss. We are the bestest in the world, because he said so. And he must be right because you love it. You've given it to him on a plate. You've given him the whole game. Because you're throwing it out there and wishing on a star. Twinkle, twinkle, please come back. Save our little asses. Because we're crap. Kind of thing. But you know what I'm saying? It comes back because people are starting to wake the fuck up and thinking, hang on a minute, that's all shit out there. All this small jib 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 jab jab jib jib jab and ooh. It don't work. It doesn't work. It never did. All it does is give your energy to the bunch of lunatics who then come back and go, we found him! We found him! And he said, we're the boss. We're the bestest in the world and we can do what we want. Because you're sinners. And he said we could kill a lot of you. We could give you vaccines, we can shoot you, we can lie to you, we can tell massive fibs to you. We can pretend you were best friends, but really we're waiting to rape your women. All that kind of malarkey. That's where it is. You said Jesus is coming back. We found him. He's our mate, is what they're saying. We found him, he's our mate, and he's changed his mind. He's not lovely and fantastic anymore. Now he wants to kill everybody. Because he said we can have this world to ourselves. It's ours. We are the bestest. We are the greatest, the most fantasticest, because we have all the shekels. And you believe it. So what can I say? There is the game. It's either outside projection or you're doing it from within. Your choice. End of Sunday's sermon on this, our Easter Sunday. Right. Who joined us? And then we got a few things to have a look at. Let's have a look. Okay. I didn't expect many people to come tonight because I'm pretty sure most people are busy. Where are we? There we go. Lorraine says that evening, Sean, evening to you, Lorraine, and evening to the peeps there with the love hearts and the blowing the kiss. Evening, Lorraine. Quacky Easter, everyone. It is quacky if you're following the bunnies and the eggs. For sure. Lone Rizzler says evening all, and Sean, thumbs up. Evening, Lone Rizzler, PY Music, good evening. All evening, Paul. John Smith says happy Easter. Well, I hope that's what they've shoved on. That's exactly what they've shoved over it, and everybody's gone, oh, give me a bunny. Give me the cross buns. Oh, no. And most people that are out there in conspiracy land go, it never did mean anything other than Ishtar. No, they've thrust that on it. So your antagonists have got you, they've got you worshipping their shit, and then you wonder why it's become so powerful. You're giving it your energy at every single opportunity, all the time. This is why Happy Easter. So if you're obsessed with eggs and bunnies and all this shit that goes with it, he's right. It's Happy Babylon. But of course, if you're smart, sensible and fantastic like me, you're not doing all that shit. You don't even buy your offspring a car or an egg because you know it's garbage. And you don't want to teach your kids garbage, even though they go, and he hasn't even given an egg. Oh, I'm not going to give you a fucking egg because I'm not stupid. I don't want you to be stupid. You can either carry on crying about not getting an egg, or you can go, well, he is fantastic. Why is he not giving us an egg? And then you're on the right track. There you go. So, quite right, John. You're quite right. But that's not the real gig. Evening, John. Jane says, good evening, Sean, Chatters, Golden Boys, and Riz. Oh, okay, hello, Jane. Mark says, evening, Sean, hi, Lorraine, you get about, don't you? Evening, Mark. MG, evening, Sean, Rizzler, Stumpy, Jane, and all non-mutants. Looking forward to another great ration from Sean the Wise. Well, thank you very much, AMG. That's really shows. I think we've got some of the mutants gone, which is good. I think maybe now that we've got lots and lots and lots of nights of the Wise Asylum to sort these geezers out. So, yes, evening AMG. Kerry says, love from Ireland, love back to Ireland. I have an interesting piece here about slavery and just what went on under the Stuart dynasty from Scotland. The Masonic bitches, the Stuarts, or stewards, and how they treat the Irish. It's disgusting. I mean, people talk about slavery and just think, hey, Gunter Kinte. No, there were far more Irish slaves sent all over the goddamn empire than any black slaves. And what people forget, you look at every single slaver ship that existed for the whole period. They weren't Christian. They were wankers that called this all summer. You look at all the plantation owners. They pretended to be Christian, but they were this pretend Christian, like we've just explained. And Ishtar, yeah? Talmud, because that says you can enslave everybody because you're the bestest. You're the bestest people in the world because your father was prepared to kill his own son after he chopped off his own cock. That's Abraham. Very smart, sensible guy. You know, chopped off his own genitals because he was smart and then decided, yeah, I'll kill my son. Because a voice in wall said. That's why he said, your father was a murderer and so were you, kind of thing. Yeah, anyway. So, move back to Ireland. You might want to listen to that. Very few people ever speak of it. People don't even know it. It's all talk about slavery. Oh, Africans. Not that it didn't happen. Of course it did. But if you think that's where it only took place, think again. The Stuarts or Templars that took over Scotland through Robert the Bruce. Bad lot. Bad lot, them Stuarts. And of course, there's a lot of them still around as the aristocracy today. They like slavery. They like to force breeding between races. It's nothing new. Kalergi plan's on a new gig. They did all this before. Most of you half-breed people out there that are half black and half white, yeah, the white was Irish. Forced to do it so that they could have more slaves. These plantation owners over there in the Bahamas and all across the South of America. Bad lot. And they only pretended to be of the New Testament. Let me make that clear. Lorraine, so evening, Kerry. I'll move back to Ireland. Lorraine says, ha ha ha, good stuff, Lorraine. I have no idea what you're laughing at. Weefy Man says, evening, land people. Ooh. Well, as we're starting to realise. I don't seem to have anybody up there supporting our land rights anymore. Yes, I'm going to make a answer for this. Let's put it this way. There's a reason why that Fat Fingers doesn't wear a crown. Interesting. So, we'll send them over. Evening Weefy Mum. Lone Rizzler, AMG, Jane, evening. Lol. Okay. Weefy Mum's big day for crypto, allegedly. Well, I'm hearing a lot of good things about crypto, to be honest. So, if you're in it, especially if you've got the Bitcoin, you do seem to be in an excellent position. Because there's been big moves over there in the US, basically securing Bitcoin. Because there's a lot of stuff out there, people say, oh, get rid of it, it's going to blow. Look at what they're doing at the top level. And Bitcoin is looking mighty fine if you're lucky enough to have one. Anybody out there wants to send me one? I'll have it. Evening Lone Rizzler. No, Weefy Man, that's right. Paul says, evening Sean and fellow inmates. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you, Paul. Lorraine's laughing at Mike. That's okay. Slipknot gives it. Alright, Sean. Alright, everyone. Thumbs up. Alright, Slipknot. A night of the Wise Asylum. Evening to you, bud. Lorraine, bye. All too commercial. Makes it meaningless. Of course, the entire gig that they've got people focused to is meaningless. Even projecting out there in the nonsense. It's been going on for such a long time. People have got no idea what it's really about. People go into debt to buy Christmas presents. They do. Hence the credit card. But Coca-Cola installed Father Christmas. Just so it could get sales in the winter. LFX gives it the thumbs up. Evening, LFX. AMG's Lorraine is on a rant. She is indeed. LFX gives it the smiley face. Lorraine, AMG, maniac, is laughing her tits off. Everybody's laughing their tits off. Lorraine and you, LFX. Oh. Says Lorraine, no, says, I'm getting lost. Am I here? Yep, there we go, never mind. I'm not talking about. You go, girl, says AMG. Slipknot says, the mind of Christ. It's a clean mind. Or man. Of course, we looked at this, didn't we? Man, his origin is mens, which of course is mind. So, when the Father of Beginnings, as well as explaining how he created the Elohim, instead of everybody thinking it was the Elohim created man, he created man, which was the mind of the same. It's got a little bit dirty. There's a lot of sweeping up not gone on in our group bloodline mind as it progresses down, and you all get shoved in and blah 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 blah. It's dirty. They stopped cleaning the kitchen a long time ago, and now it's up to us when we come in here to try and declutter our own character, which in turn helps to cleanse the bloodlines. This is why they're obsessed with bloodlines, ladies and gentlemen, up there at the top. They know this shit. And now people think it's a fantasy. Because they think it's all about incest and no, it's all about it all. No, it's much bigger than that. You know, remember, they've took away from you the knowledge, which is why everybody's like a fish out of water. Regardless of how good you are, or even how well educated you might be, you're still only getting a tiny little bit of the game with all the keys missing. You have to find them. Seek and ye shall find. They're not given to you on a plate. Indeed, Slipknot. LFX is Dragon DD Eyes 2 and Double Vision. I don't know what that means. Lone Razor says cancer nutrition. So I just found out the other day that when my mother went to, she didn't tell me this by the way, she pretended it were all lovely, but I found out the other day that when she went to, so they diagnosed her with cancer, she'd come away, gone back, and she was talking to a Chinese doctor, woman. And my mother had said, well, I'm not going to go down the path. This little bitch were giving it, well, yeah, nobody will love you, nobody will love you, nobody will this, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It wanted its 60 fucking grand, didn't it, for NHS, that little shit. Now, I didn't know this because I'd have gone apeshit, and if I'd have been there, oh my God. But I weren't, and she chose not to tell me, which is fine. But my daughter told me. So I'm now aware of exactly how these bastards are playing it in these private temples of the Hospitallers today. You really don't want to get on that shit, believe me. You really don't. But it's a good job I didn't know about this before. I would have got a little bit cross, and I know that's why my mother didn't tell me. Where are we there? So cancer nutrition, that's what they're dishing out. Well, it's not actually cancer, is it? I mean, I've seen a couple now where doctors are saying that have been invested in this cancer game for a long time, and they're saying they don't die of cancer. They're dying of failed kidneys, failed heart, failed liver, failed pancreas, due entirely to the chemotherapy. Now, there's some very interesting stuff coming out in relation to the things you can't talk about, in relation to how they're affecting the white blood cells. That makes sense, especially given the experience I've had with my son-in-law, now deceased, who had leukemia. It's making a bit of sense. Obviously, I'd need to do a little bit more research to it, but obviously, on the face of it, the gut feeling is, I think there's something in that. So where are we there? Lorraine says, I brought my grandchildren books to read instead of chocolate eggs. Great, they might not like it today, but winter time they might start reading them, and thank you for it. But yeah, it's quite ridiculous, isn't it? It's like, it doesn't buy me an Easter egg. I'll never buy an Easter egg. I will never buy an Easter egg, because I know what it is. And Cadbury's is full of shit. Nestle is full of shit. Why would you feed your offspring poisons? Well, you do it because everyone else is doing it. Just take your input from the outside. Away you go. John says it's buffering. Hey, it looks alright here. Anybody else getting a bit of buffering? Craig says, do you think Tommy Robinson is playing shit Wasim Kempson? I actually did see a video, somebody sent me that. I've got to be honest, I think that's pushing it somewhat. I think. But I looked at his hands for a start. First thing I was looking at, his brow, his eyes. His eyes, his brow did have the similar kind of thing, but his hands, if I remember rightly, didn't match. So have a look at his hands, this guy's hands, because, I mean, even though I talk about Tommy Robinson a lot, I don't pay any attention to what he's saying or doing or anything anymore. I really don't. But if the thing that made me think that's garbage was the hands. Now, I don't know whether that was just me being flippant because I couldn't be asked to look into it anymore, which is probably correct. But just have a look for yourself. I mean, if you're more enveloped in this stuff about, you know, that maybe you see a better picture. But just do a check on his hands and this guy's hands, because in truth, it didn't feel to me like that were Tommy Robinson end of. So, and I don't think that they'd be that blasé. Simply because now you can see that this new pattern that I've been talking about for a while now is forming. Because they've now got Conor the Shitbag McGregor, Super Gob in Ireland, playing the same game. He's just done an interview with Tucker Carlson in the Grand Lodge in Northern Ireland. So, there you go. I mean, it was obvious to me, Conor McGregor did a deal way back, that's why he got his... And the way he got his big payout with that game with... Yon boxer, what were he called? I forgot his name. That was his ticket for his big money. That were his move from what he were earning then right up to the big boys. 300 million, did he get something like that? This is how it works. As you go in, then whatever you've been assigned to do, some event, whether it's a lottery win or whatever, they can make this happen, and it will put you onto the level that you've just agreed to act. So I knew all that. I knew he'd done a deal. To what degree it were about, I didn't know. But I saw him starting to... You see, in COVID, in the book script, if you remember, he was calling for the army to force the lockdowns. That little shithouse, who's pretending he's against the elite, has joined him. And he did that before he had that boxing match with the boxer. I can't remember his name. What the bloody hell's his name? Why can't I remember? I used to be a big boxing fan. Now it's whole MMA, I like the UFC. But you know what I mean anyway. But that was his move from, he'd agreed, right, now you need to go up to this level, 300 million. There he is. And you can see in the UFC, they're building up this Christian-Muslim rivalry with these guys that are coming out of Kazakhstan and all them places over there, who are actually bloody hard lads. These guys can fight, you know what I mean? They're pretty good. Very slippery kind of guys, aren't they? But they can scrap them fellas. But you can see it playing up, you know, it's a game. It's just a game. So when he shot off from Ireland or wherever he were, over to America to have it out with that geezer, you all play. It's just a play. And as long as you're sucking it up, you're playing it so that they're now rising him up in Ireland as some kind of hero as they're prepping for Tommy to come out and become an hero and get all the knuckle draggers to start causing civil unrest. Out come all these immigrants are in these hotels with uniforms on. Yeah, you rue the day. You will rue the day if you're following Tommy Robinson and you're going to go out and play this game. You will rue that day you do it. Make no mistake. Because things will change on the streets, on the ground here in Blighty in an instant. So be warned. MG, great suggestion, Rizla, of particular interest to me. Oh, what promise? Anyway. Lex, as Halo Star, Crystal Ball, Easter teaser. Go on, LFX. Big E says, hey, my friend, all you well, greetings to everyone. Wits about us always, absolutely. Gotta be so, Big E, welcome. Good evening to you. Lorraine says, AMG, fagging it and laughing. I hope that's not one of them funny fags. Yeah, bad one. AMG says, no buffering here, John Smith. Try rebooting your router. Yeah, it's always a good idea. If it slows down, you might have had an update on your router, and sometimes it can faff about. You have to unplug your router for about 40 seconds. Your firmware, it'll all fall into place, reset, plug it back in, you're away. Yeah, it looks alright on here. Sometimes I can see if it's buffering, but it seems to be fine. That's one thing about EE, it is a good internet. They don't tend to fan you on. They always give you what you need. So things are well at this end, I have to say. Mew says, I'm late, needed a show. I've been listening to Sheep from LO Wise Asylum Gang and Sheep Farm Crossovers, LO Sean. What time is it? You're well late. That's disgraceful. Even to you, Mew. It's not expect. You can't do that behaviour now that you've been knighted, can you? It's just not on. Unless you stank. Did you stink? Fair dues, we can't have you coming on here stinking. Evening, Mew. MG says, naughty step for you, Mew. Yeah, he's very fucking naughty, actually. Shall we demote him to... What can we demote him to? A Thane. We'll move him down to a Thane for the week. You're a bad one. Louis says, Mew, happy birthday, Mew. Is it your birthday? Happy birthday, mucker. Well then, if that's the case, and you're not fibbing, it's rescinded. You can carry on being a knight. So we're alright. Yeah, very, very naughty if it's not your birthday. And if Lorraine's just trying to cover you for you, Lorraine, you're very naughty. Mark says, Mew's late and he's a mod. I know. I bloody know. It's an outrage. An outrage. AMG, chocolate flavour, sugar, nasty stuff. Huh? Mew says, easy MG, it's birthday. Once a year, shower and a promise. Boring day, Mew. You weren't a shit, were you, when you were popped out? You were boring. It's a boring day. It's my son's birthday today. Hitler's birthday, 20th of April. It's a good day. Obviously, because one of my offspring were born on it. So, there you go. And you're on the cusp between Aries and Taurus, out Mew, whether you knew that or not. So, happy birthday. Your punishment is rescinded. It's acceptable. Just need a letter off your mum. Or your grandma. Dog even. Mind you, Mrs. will do. Lisa, we need a letter. Just to say that he's not fibbing. All the best to you, says PY. MG, enjoy your 30 seconds later. Jane says, happy birthday, Mew. Lorraine's still pissing herself. You know my missus. Yeah. Oh, that's shot up. Look at that. It doesn't have keep shooting up. Oh. I'm glad you're chatting a lot tonight, because I really haven't put much together apart from that sermon that we've just done. That was main gig, because it is Easter. And to be honest, I thought you'd all be busy. I thought you'd all be up to summer. Of course, not having a shower, but I thought you'd be up to summer. But anyway, so I'm glad you're all chit-chatting. Because I don't really want to get serious tonight. It's a bit shit, isn't it? It's Easter, for goodness sake. Where are we? I'm late. Yep, you've done that. Right. Easy MG, birthday. No, birth. You've got to get out of that. You should know better. It's born day. Yeah, I don't know. Where are we? Here we go. Right. Loneliness says, happy birthday, Moo. PY Music says, well, Sean is going to shout at you all for saying birthday. he's got it already, he knows the crack. You're quite right there, PY, and I'm just... You see, that's it. But it is his birthday. He's probably had a Guinness or two. So we'll let him off. We'll let him off. But nice, yeah, well spotted, Paul. Mark's a grass. Is he grassing? Is he telling tales, that Mark? Mark, you're bad. Well, he's right though, isn't he? You know, you've been knighted of the realm. I expect better. You're copying Fat Fingers and his cronies. John says, did you see he took a call since you and Conor McGregor in a Masonic lodge? Well, I didn't watch it because, of course, I couldn't be asked to listen to his drivel. But I did see that it was in a Masonic lodge and he was going, but I had sound down because, of course, I thought, my lugs don't need to hear that shite. So I didn't. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're not hiding it, are they? They're not hiding it. They're that close. They're that convinced they've got it. Do you know what so the Masons in the day, to stop Masons from listening to what I had to say, so we're going back 20 years, what they persuaded everybody is I were a drug dealer. Even though one of my mates was the biggest drug dealer in the whole fucking area. He was the number one. Their man. Huh? Now rose to the tops of the fucking game. Never seen a fucking prison cell in his life. No, I was the fucking drug dealer, number one drug dealer in the... So, we're not talking to him. You know what they're saying now, and this has been for maybe the last 5 years? Because obviously people cock a wink, which they do, they're thinking, this guy's not what they're telling me. Do you know what they say now? Oh, he's very well read. He's very well read. Fuck you, you bunch of pricks. I'm not just very well read. You fucking trained me for 7 fucking years. And you trained me in the degrees way above any of the fucking degrees that you dicks are in. And the last thing they want is for you to listen to me so that you get to see what it is them pricks have been doing to you and around you forever. And why this shit system is ruling fucking okay. So they say he's well read. No, fuck that. Well, believe it if you want. I don't really give a shit. I've taught you what they fucking taught me, and you don't believe it because you're stupid. And that's why you'll never get beyond the 3rd degree. You're not the right character for them to trust to put you into the occult degrees. It's that simple. So if you want to carry on and believing now, even though you realise that all the bullshit they said before were bullshit, and you now want to believe the next round of bullshit, be my fucking guest. It's no skin off my nose. You're all fucking cursed anyway. You're already cursed. You just can't see it. You've no idea what you've done to yourselves and your families by dancing to this garbage. But I can see it. I can see it plain as day. But you'll find that out one day, all by yourself, and it'll have absolutely nothing to do with me. But I'll be laughing. Just know that. Anyway, that's enough of that malarkey. So Mark's a grass. You bad boy, Mark. Yeah, we saw Tucker. Scouse one at that. He's a Scouser. Is he a Scouse? Oh yeah, Mark's a Scouse. Yeah, okay, I got you there. AMG, I work in a strip club. My safe word isn't respected by the girls. Well, aren't you fucking lucky? I might have to come and visit you there at this strip club, AMG. Yeah, I haven't got a safe word neither. I don't have one. So, yeah, I'll copy your safe word if I do come down and meet your girlies. Interesting. How lucky are you? Mew says, fill your boots. AMG, lol, Rizzler. Mark says, the Lone Rizzler, we have an understanding. Go on. Meander V says, why do they try to undermine Christianity any chance they get, in your opinion? Well, this is just the tail end of it, because basically we've let go of it ourselves, but this is because, I mean, okay, let me give you, I'll give you what I see. Now, it doesn't mean I'm saying that this is fact, but in all these years of fannying on and studying what I've studied, there's a serious demarcation point in the Church of Rome, and that is when they formed the Jesuits. So previous to that, you would say it's the Reformation, okay? But I know the Reformation were formed and fermented by the same Holy See families that have always been controlling the Vatican since at least the Middle Ages. That aside, something really serious got into the game of all of Christendom. So we have a Reformation, and then we have the installation of a bunch of cryptos called the Jesuits, okay? Now, get this, when you get into what Jesuitism is, it's so vast, or was, and everybody thinks that the Jesuit oath is the blood oath. That's just a blood oath. You can be in Masonry, and you don't have to take a blood oath. Again, like I've just explained, you've got your front, you've got your occult. If they don't see you as fit, you will stay in that front. You will never get to see the occult side of it. It's the same with the Jesuits. Not everybody in Jesuitism has taken them blood oaths. That's for your psychopaths. Those are for the people that just despise everybody. So, Talmudists. So something seriously changed at that point, I would say, with the Reformation, etc., and then the installation of these Jesuits. Now, if you follow the work, I mean, Henry VIII was the guy that installed the Jesuits into England in these super fucking Jesuit colleges. Stonehurst being a prime example. And I've talked about Stonehurst before, but if you haven't actually seen the place, you cannot understand what I'm saying about how potent. In fact, bear with me, because Stonehurst, remember, it was Henry VIII. He always brought... See, this is another thing that people don't know, because they don't study the history. Henry VIII was a staunch Catholic, so much so he did something like 6 to 8 masses per day, because being an egomaniac, he wanted to be the bestest Catholic in the fucking world. Okay? That's what he were. Right up until this break, so-called, from Rome, which was nothing of the sort. He was just there to take on a new ecclesiastical jurisdiction, so they could create an empire that didn't appear to be headed out of Rome. So it's garbage if you think that Henry VIII was anything other than a covenanter, i.e. a covenant with the Pope of the day. That's what British means, okay? Britain, British. It's covenant, it's a contract, people of the contract. This is why I say I'm fucking English. I'm not British. The empire is British. It's a covenant empire. It's got nothing to do with England, apart from the fact that there were a lot of Southerners that went and joined it and loved it. Because if you watch any of these ancient fucking films on era stuff, they're all fucking Cockneys, aren't they? All these seafaring fucking... they're all fucking Cockneys. Very rarely you fucking get one from up north of Yorkshire giving it, hey lad. They're all fucking Cockneys. So it were a southern fucking enterprise, all that shit. British Covenanters, okay? Again, people miss it. But Henry VIII installed the Jesuits here in the major massive colleges. Now I just want to show you this, because if you don't understand the vastness of this... Now I have to pull us over in here. So... now I don't know what is actually on this. Point being, it's massive. It's absolutely huge. And it's not until you... It's not actually until you drive into it and all of a sudden it's there and it takes your breath away, the size of it. And this was the power of the North from the 1500s, but they had other colleges around. So, and they were tasked to educate, basically. They were the educators of all the hoity-toity people. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is this. For that to have worked, not everybody that would join the Jesuits were operating to this uber code of bloodlust, blood right, and let's kill all Protestants. It was the Catholics that felt the best way to pull people back was by educating them to the truth of the Roman Church, as it were. So that's double learned. Now, anyway, I've gone off track, but what was the question? The question was, why did they try to undermine Christianity? Any chance to get your opinion? Okay. When you study the New Testament, okay, and you only need to stick to Luke, forget the rest. Or you can go Judas, you can go Thomas, you can go all the Gnostic stuff as well, because it does give you a little an insight. Because Luke wasn't Jewish, the others were. Okay, now Marcion, who was the first guy to compile a canon on the back of the work of the man, 110 years later, he used only Luke, and there was nothing about the Old Testament in it, nothing about Jewry, save for the fact that's what he was fighting. But it wasn't Jewry, it was the Babylonian temple. That's what it was, which is why they hate the guy. Because they had set up this temple under King Cyrus in the captivity, and then along came this geezer and said, kiss my ass, you can fuck off, you're all full of shit and you're robbing everybody. And not only that, you're blocking people from coming through when they reach that point through their own education and they've earned it. You're blocking them. So he threw the tables all over, showed the usury and all the bollocks. He said your temple's going to collapse, and it did. It collapsed completely, and they've hated everything about that ever since. Rome at that time, due to its battles with Carthage, had a huge Carthaginian elite elect in Rome. There were a lot of the battles. The Romans were a republic. It was the Carthaginian lot, or as we know them today, the small hats, who were always pushing for dictatorship. And then the roles reversed. So the boys, as Abe Finkelstein says, they've been in it from the beginning. Right? These people that call themselves Jews. It doesn't really mean that they are, but that's what they call themselves. Because, of course, what they're saying in that sense is we are nothing to do with the New Testament. Nothing. Save for the fact they set it up. Eventually, 300 years later, they set it up, their own version, to capture it, to form it and keep it in their own. It doesn't necessarily mean that, even though we know that they set it up from the get-go, when we look back at these civilisations that they've been blocking off, that had all the airships, etc., they've blocked out of photographs from old times, all this architecture that were across America, even in Australia, Taiwan, all over the world, China, same architecture showing a major empire. That, in my opinion, from my studies, is what we created on the back of following whatever we created by using the New Testament as its uber thesis. Okay? Because the elites were bound to it. Yeah? And so what we had before is what created all that. So all the buildings were all acoustically set. The bells were there for a reason. These cathedrals that we use today for worship were more of a sort of healing chamber when you get into the acoustics of it, etc., etc. So whatever it were before were based on doing good for everybody, or do unto others as you'd have done to yourself. Which, if you go by Hillel, which was the guy that was pulled in to run the temple from Babylon because nobody could do it, he was actually quite a good guy when you look at his works. He said, somebody asked him, or they asked him, what is the meaning of the Torah, which is the Old Testament? And he just said, do unto others as you'd have done to yourself, and the rest is a commentary. That's what he said. And you could say he was a precursor to the man, because he was 30 odd, I think either 30 or 33 years before the man came along. So, in my opinion, if we look at it from that perspective, everything that was built on do unto others as you'd have done to yourself. Doesn't mean to say there weren't loads of shenanigans and nonsense going on. But each time this section of this culture got into different places, they'd get kicked out. Because they'd come in, oh yeah, we're all lovely, we're fantastic, and then all of a sudden people would find out what they were doing. And they'd get thrown out. And then they cry their eyes out, and, oh, everybody hates us. Well, yeah, they don't tell you why. It's just everybody hates us because we've got big noses. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with anything except your behaviour. It's how you live, how you subvert, how you're always trying to grab what everybody else has. So that's what we're being protected. Now, you've got all sorts of ideas. Were it all as a whole called Tartaria? Was it? India? I don't know. There's a lot of suggestion it was. If you look at the old maps, Tartaria was only a small place. They appear to be a very cruel race as a race on their own. But that doesn't mean that the empire itself wasn't called Tartary or Tartaria. But of course, because they're so close together in meaning, people assume then that means they're the same people. Not so. Not so at all. So, and they're utilising that to make it fix to... This is where it were to the side of Russia, when we all know that before Rome, the centre of all this esoteric knowledge that we now call Christianity existed way before the initiate called Yeshua went over to the Middle East to preach it. It was all being held here on the British Isles, Ireland specifically, and Anglesey on the actual, on Britain itself, on Albion itself. And all the elites of Rome then used to send their offspring here to be educated by the Druids. The Druids are very clear that they sent an initiate to the Middle East, which was white. Alright? Doesn't mean he was born here, but he was preaching in the Middle East, he came over here, he initiated, this is according to the last Druid of Ireland, they initiated him and then sent him back to present what was already here, the ethos before Rome's ethos, okay? And people have accused Rome of being pagan. Well, yeah, because the more it were in tune with the original Druid, which is in tune with nature, the earth, not the world. Remember, this crazy God doesn't want you to... He can't allow you to resonate with the earth, which is why they kill all the wise women. You know, the world, the garden, as it were, that this crazy God has got going on, cannot afford to let anybody resonate and synchronise with the earth or in Mother Nature. It can't, because Mother Nature will say, like, he's full of shit, and show you that he's full of shit, okay? So this is where you get this idea that Roman paganism stand together. It has to, because they tried to incorporate what was here. Now, other points of that would suggest that actually Rome wasn't so much trying to destroy the Druids, but they were trying to protect what was here, because whatever were going on, because we had Trojans here, we had all this nonsense going on. Whatever were going on, what they all wanted to do at all costs was protect what had been set up here. So if the stars were basically telling them, like they do, it's all going to collapse here, then could be why Court Mandua of the Brigantes sided with Rome. I don't know. It's a mystery. But it's always bothered me why the Queen of the Brigantes, which is my pad, would side with the Romans if they were the font of all evil. Yeah? Now, so in my opinion, the New Testament, not as it's taught today, but in its real esoteric form, built that empire. And it's the way out for all of us from the Babylonian Persian trap system, okay? Which is what we're facing today, the legal system. All this shit and garbage, slavery, etc. So they had to start to undermine it from the get-go, that it began. Obviously, they didn't manage to do that for a very long time, hence all the architecture that they've been demolishing. And I'd say, when you get into and look at the Stuarts, so let's go back a bit further. Templars, clear, we've looked at this. When they built the temple in the inner city of London, the Templars, this is the English Templars, because I think people forget as well, there were English Templars, there were Spanish Templars, there were Portuguese Templars, Dutch, French, there were all these different groups, but they amalgamated under the same banner, as it were. But they were all different. The English Templars built the Temple Church in London in honour of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Okay, that's what it is. So the original Templars, on England, I'm not saying it was the same in the other nations, but on England, they were clearly representing the New Testament. Okay, so they would have been seeking what they were seeking in order to support the Christian doctrine. Now, everything's changed, whenever, who knows what, but once the Templars were being hit, for whatever reason, and there's lots of different ideas, nobody's come through with anything solid. There's all sorts of ideas, take your pick. But when they started to be attacked, Robert the Bruce invited a lot of them in there, and the Navy went to Portugal. I mean, it had been based there anyway. If you actually look at Portugal, its rivers actually go right into the heart of Spain. So it's the perfect place for Templars to make the base, because, of course, they were big on naval. So as a navy, that's where they were. We know they went to Switzerland and created that as their own place. And, of course, because they were always under assault, they built castles. They well fortified themselves. They could because they had plenty of wealth. But they were invited in to Scotland in order to help Robert the Bruce fight Edward I, who was trying to solidify England as a Christian country. He was a very extremely Christian king, more because of his wife, who he loved dearly. That were a match, which is unusual, where the two parties absolutely adored each other. It was when she died, Eleanor, he on the funeral procession from wherever down to London, he erected 9 crosses. The final one, still alive, is Charing Cross. So that's what he did in reference of Christianity. He was a serious Christian king. So was Edward III, who gave us all the chivalry. And between them, I think it was Edward III that collapsed the Lombardy, basically, by telling them to piss off, he weren't paying them. But a lot of what was going on there was to, not necessarily to attack Wales or Scotland even, and although he did a bit, but he was building castles to sort of like, first to border England, but then he started to encroach as you would. But the Lombardy had moved to Wales at that time as well, so he would perhaps battling with them, Venetians, you know what I mean? It's not clear, because most of the stuff you get about Edward I is how we should despise the guy. So anyway, so this Christian system that was set up, which the common law of England okay, was formed in before Alfred the Great. This is what were existing from Mulmutine, from Donald the Bold, which is 350 years BC. A Trojan. So it's a Trojan, the common law of England, as it were, would have been the common law of the Britons, which, in a sense, at that time, were Druids and Trojans and natural Britons, whatever that may mean. And so you could say we get an idea of what Troy was. Now, there's ideas that Troy was actually centred on the British Isles. I don't know. So there were a massive difference starting up between what England was, which was Christian, and what were being built in Scotland, thanks to Robert the Bruce. Now, the Stuarts, remember, are coming from that. So now, another thing that people don't realise, the actual legal system that we despise on these lands was actually formed during the battles between Matilda and Stephen. That is when that system was being formed on these islands. So there's its source. Not, as many would say, Edward I. It was Stephen and Matilda, their fallout, which formed this Babylonian system on here. So other players were playing that at the back of that, so obviously that was their agenda, to get that in during that time. The War of the Roses was basically just a bloodline cull. They were culling the bloodlines that were in existence on England from the 1066 invasion. Now, as much as I despise William the Bastard because he slaughtered everybody, the elites that came after him, they acknowledged and said they'd be bound by the common laws pulled in by Alfred, which were already common laws of this land. So whatever before, you were Christian, the York Rite was set up, you had to be a Christian to be a York Rite Mason, not so in Scotland. So you can see that England represented Christianity, and Scotland, from whatever were going on, because David I pulled in all the aristocracy through Belgium in his time, all tied to Robert the Bruce. So you can see that in Scotland was building up this Solomon's Temple. Yeah, the Babylonians, the guys that were pissed off at the Christians because their temple got demolished. So straight away you can see that Scotland for all this time has been subservient to the bastards. And they've consistently been encroaching upon England. And they finally did that with James I. James I and Charles I. Because they were imprisoning more people than you could believe. Mainly James. He was a complete twat, that fella. And I'm just going to give you an insight. I'm not going to go through it all, but I'm going to give you an insight of what was going on in James I. He said, Irish slaves. They came as slaves, human cargo, transported on British ships bound for the Americas. They were shipped by the hundreds of thousands and included men, women, and even the youngest of children. Whenever they rebelled or even disobeyed an order, they were punished in the harshest ways. Slave owners would hang their human property by their hands and set their hands or feet on fire as one form of punishment. Some were burned alive and had their heads placed on pikes in the marketplace as a warning to other captives. This is Irish people that they're doing this to. James I. So we're talking Scottish shit, right? Not Christian English. And it's important that we see this because it's the way they recite this stuff that fixes it in your mind. And this, as I'm going to read it, is no different. It's programming. It's giving you data, but it's programming you to see who we're doing it. But I'll hopefully explain that as we go. We don't really need to go through all of the gory details, do we? But we know all too well the atrocities of the African slave trade. But we are talking about African slavery. But are we talking about African slavery? James VI, or first of England, and Charles I also led a continued effort to enslave the Irish. Britain's Oliver Cromwell furthered this practice of dehumanising one's next door neighbour. The Irish slave trade began when James VI or first sold 30,000 Irish prisoners as slaves to the New World. Now remember, he set up that charter, didn't he? East India Charter. his proclamation of 1625 required Irish political prisoners be sent overseas and sold to English settlers in the West Indies. By the mid-1600s, the Irish were the main slaves sold to Antigua and Montserrat. At the time, 70% of the total population of Montserrat were Irish slaves. Ireland quickly became the biggest source of human livestock for English merchants. Right? Now remember, this is under James I, Solomon, merchants, usurers, okay? And they own the ports. Now what's important, they use the term British, they're using the term English. But when you look, and I've got it somewhere, you look at the ships listings for all the slave ships in the entire time that slavery was playing out on these shores, every single ship is owned by a non-Christian, a small at. Fact. When they call English plantations over there in the Americas, no, these were, again, small ats. Pretending to be, because they were the more Puritanised form of Christianity. So they've come down from Solomon up in Scotland, took on the Old Testament again, exported it there to the New World, and dealt with everybody there as though they were Amalek. Yeah? Edomites, all that shit that they still talk about today, them pillocks down there in Israel. So you're not dealing with Christian people here. They might call themselves British or English, but they're not. It's these freaks that have come down from Scotland. Yeah, these Solomon Templars. Right? As I said before, England has always been the scapegoat. Because England, the British Isles have been run by the Scottish for centuries, since James I. And people have not seen it. They just haven't seen it. And the Whigs, you get into the battles between the Conservatives, or the Conservatives' original name was Tory, which meant Catholic bandits. So, the origin of the Conservative Party on England wasn't the fucking hoity-toits, as we think it is. It was the Catholic bandits, the rebels. So they weren't even in tune with the Vatican. They were Catholic, as in we hold to the Catholic idea of what the New Testament is, which is no slavery. You know, you look after everybody. You don't shit on everybody. So we've had all this shit coming in. So, back to your question. Christianity has always been the get-out clause in its true form, esoterically. And when it was taken up for that period, for that empire, that's what it built. So it was utilising acoustics, it was utilising frequencies, it was using airships, it was all over the world. And the Moors did appear to play a big part in that for a time as well. So, take your pick. But they were Muslims. That's a falsehood. That is a falsehood. Or they had read the Quran as I've read it and seen through the traps, and so from the get-go of reading the Quran, you let go of the Quran and revert right back to its command of you obey the biblical text, because it focuses on Mary, it focuses on Jesus, it only mentions Muhammad 4 times. And then the rest of it is in direct opposition to the biblical morality completely. So if you've missed those first few traps when reading the Quran, you are off under this other thing, or Hubal, which was the god of what they call Middle Eastern tribe that had gone into Arabia, which is where the Kaaba originates from. So you get your chance when reading the Quran to let go of the Quran, because you're doing what it says, which is obey and uphold the patriarchs of the Bible. But they don't. They're all off over here, the Talmudic stuff. Oh, that's where it all goes. So if they were Muslims, they were true Muslims, and they weren't playing with the Quran, they'd gone the correct way. Because this is why the Quran says you've got to be pure or clean. It says clean, but it means pure of spirit, because you'll never understand it otherwise. You'll fall for it. jingle jangle, innit? You can rape who you want, you can do what you want, women have to do exactly what you say, and you've got an answer for fucking everything. Who's not going to take that? That's not a bit right. So, the New Testament is the way out of the trap that was set up in the temple coming out of Babylon. That the Old Testament is basically commentating about, which is what all the stories are for. And they're missing the point, do unto others as you'd have done to yourself. Out comes the man, teaches you the way, it's all coming from inside. You take your input from your inside, so your conscience is working, your intuition's working, and if you're out of order, following your intuition will put you on the path where you can see that you're out of order. See, this is where people get screwed. If they follow their intuition and it starts to get a bit uncomfortable, they think that, oh my God, I'm to avoid that. It's your intuition's put you there because it's going to show you something about your thought process. And when you pass through it, on the other side, you're gonna understand that. Your intuition has led you to what you might conceive to be a bit of a darkness, but only so it can show you the error of your way. And that's been my path. Trust your intuition no matter what it's doing. My God. Yeah. So that's all I'll say to you until I get to today. And there's nothing else worth doing down here, let me tell you, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody either. Anyway, that aside, it's because it's the way out. And they cannot install the slave system, which is what we see all around us today, without getting rid from your minds the correct understanding of the gospel. Yeah. So this slavery stuff, it's just ridiculous. I'm not going to go through it all, but maybe we'll read it another time. But they were even forcing the Irish women to procreate with the African slaves so they could have more slaves that weren't as backward as some of them African lads. But also remember, it was the African kings that were selling the Africans to the slavers. The problem is, you had Southampton, you got Liverpool as big, smaller ports, and of course slaves were being brought there. So there was a major tie to Liverpool and Southampton in the slave trade. So, that we can't get away from. But in the main, the biggest number of slaves throughout that time were Irish. Okay? This is what this mindset does. It does this. And like they're doing now, they're quiet about it so that masses don't see it. But when they get this into place, that's exactly the kind of stuff they do. And if you want to know what they do, study the Bolsheviks' takeover of Russia from 1917. They have a very strange fascination with genitalia because they're fruitcakes. They like to stick spikes up your ass, hot pokers up your bottom. Similar kind of stuff that they were doing in the Inquisition. James I was the one that launched the attack against women that connected with the earth. Your psychics, all these people. In the same way, Winston Churchill set up Regulation 18B. And the minute the Second World War were declared against Germany on England, Victor Rothschild took it over and they imprisoned all the psychics, all the wise women. They can't build this world if you connect with the earth. Because the earth knows everything. Which is why the more evangelical you go, the more stupid, the more you hear anything that's to do with the nature, because it's pagan, it's evil. I mean, if you heard some of these American fucking numpties, the minute they sat there going, oh, what's he talking? I used to get this back in there when I had a big following in America. You could tell they were sat there waiting for you to say anything that made it look like you were pagan. And then they could go, oh, you're full of shit, fire and brimstone, Amalek, kill them all. So the further you go away from the New Testament, the more against nature itself you become. It's quite ridiculous, really, but that is the way it is. So they have to remove the esoteric system that were made through understanding the Gospels correctly. And I would suggest the elites of the church did, and that things changed for whatever reason. But I think the Reformation and the installation of the Jesuits and the Civil War on England changed everything. And what did they do when that had happened? You couldn't be a bloody Catholic priest here because they would chase you and kill you, hang, draw and quarter you. You know, and there are more bolt holes and rat holes in all this area where I live, to Duncanhouse, onto Stonehurst and all the... Salisbury Hall, John Southworth were undrawn and quartered. There were one undrawn and quartered in Whalley Abbey. It were crazy. This is the Puritans that hate everything Christian because it's the get out clause. Not in the way that they've taught it since we were all yay big, and even our grandparents. They've turned it into a fucking pantomime, and therefore turned it into a system that can be debated. Do you get what I'm saying? And the infallibility of the Pope originally is only infallible as long as he's in tune with the doctrine afforded to the man. They're not infallible at all. It's that if whatever was set up under that doctrine, that's infallible. And as long as these popes are following it, they have to be classed as infallible. I mean, even the Catholics had forgotten about that. I put that up on Twitter last year when that Archbishop were having his rebellion. And it was right, they were all over it. Catholics are thinking, fucking hell, we didn't even know this. Well, no, because you've been taught a pantomime. You've believed a pantomime. You believed this guy was some kind of fairy cake. Going around, oh, no, you fucking weren't. You were a teacher. He were teaching you the esoteric. He were teaching you how to connect with nature. And it were done in parables. And it's all symbolic. It's all symbolic. We've gone through it. It connects astrologically, chemically. Whichever way you want to take it. If you're not following the narrative they give you, you can see through it and you can see the game properly. So hopefully that answers that question, Meander V. Now, Lawrence says, we're chatting among each other. Mew says, just under 4 years, and we can challenge the offer of a pension. Well, I'll tell you what, man. So, because now we're into law now, rule of law, monarch. So, I mean, it's just letters upon fucking letters upon letters here that are going to have to go in regardless of whatever gets done in the background for my colleagues. But, I mean, you know, I'm going to just, my teeth are just, I'll be honest with you, right? Since Wednesday last week, I've been so furious that I haven't been able to think properly. I've been absolutely fucking livid. Furious. It sort of just stopped me from doing anything. I was furious, and the more I was thinking about these things, the more furious I became, and I just couldn't do anything. So I had a visit yesterday. A mate of mine come up, and we had a good chill. Went to Ribchester, clear the air a bit, and I'm back on form now. I can think properly, and it's like battle's just begun again, because yeah, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's just waste time. But believe you me, oh my God, if they think they're going to get away with that, they can think again. So where are we going here? Sean sings like a 7-year-old girl. What? You puff. I'm not coming down to play with you anymore. A 7-year-old girl? When have I sung? Like, oh. Well, that is deliberate, for goodness sake, yeah. Well, as it says, that's optimistic, Mew. 4 years. Oh, he's only saying 68 anytime soon. Morris pissing himself. Benefactor, hello Sean and Wise Salem, evening Benefactor. Mew says, goalpost moving bastards may move it up. Well, they might do. They're still 68 anyway. I'm definitely talking 68. Jerry says, evening Sean and all in the Wise Salem, evening Jerry. For knowledge and wisdom, it requires knowledge and wisdom. Well, If knowledge becomes understood, if you begin to understand the knowledge, then and only then can it change into wisdom. Because knowledge on its own is a very dangerous thing, and that's what the secret societies depend on. Because they're only giving out knowledge. They're not giving out wisdom. They make you think they're giving you wisdom, but they're not. They're giving you knowledge. So instead of boosting that intuitive side, it boosts the ego. And that keeps you fixed into them and them as your master. So, you're weak. Involved in any of these secret societies of today, you are weak. You're not strong, you're weak. And you don't get it. And I don't care whether you get it or not either. You'll never change my mind just because you've got a fancy car and a lot of mates. You're still weak in a group. That's all it is. Effects for knowledge and wisdom. I've done that. Lauren says, I found out the bloke I'm doing lots of work for used to work as an expert for the World Bank 50 odd years ago. In Africa, how I remained composed when he told me he's beyond me. Ask him questions, Lauren Rizzler. Be friendly with him, he might want to speak. Yeah, don't hate him, he might have wisdom, he might have stuff to give you. And pass it on to me. Effects the Easter chicken, bunny, church teaser. Mobile goalpost, there's a fucking business idea. Moo, you have hidden talent. Yeah. Rizzler sold his soul to the devil. Oh my word. Big E says, if an egg breaks from the outside, life dies. If the egg breaks from the inside, life may proceed. That is a good analogy there, Big E. I like it. Humpty Dumpty, innit? It's like Humpty Dumpty sits on fence like everybody else and does it. Well, is it? But once you fall off, and that shall, all the king's horses and all the king's men can never, ever make you stupid again. It's impossible. Even if you wanted to. Paul O'Neill, Jerry, it was a mistake. Upside down, John, Waters, Thomas, Sheridan, was all pulled out to claim it's the message, not place. Okay, so we don't know what you're on about, Paul, but not a problem. Jerry says, should get a look at the book, A Perfect Holocaust. Should get a look at the book. I might have read that, I don't know. I have read a lot of stuff, but I don't know. Is that... AMG, don't lol, I'm sensitive. AMG, don't, yeah. Jerry says, well, Paul gets the hope that other half is well. Right, she good, Jerry, we finished with all the group's crap. They're blinded looking for a hero. Aren't they just? I mean, aren't they just? You know what I mean? It's all well and good to be inspired by people. But ultimately, we have to all do it ourselves. Declutter the mind, says Solvamist. Even in Solvamist, this is it. It's about cleansing yourself so that the shit that keeps you fixed to nonsense and wastes your time. Because that's the thing, I know so many people that are high-minded, they've got a bit about them, but every fucking time it comes back to that, where they're fixed on the grid, pulls them right back to their own self. And so many people playing this game to hide from that so they don't have to face themselves. And then it comes back again. And at the core, they just hate. They just hate. They actually hate themselves, but they're projecting it all over the fucking show. And I think that's what we all tend to do, isn't it, when we're still fixing that. And I mean, that were a big part of cleansing for me, realising that I were actually not happy with certain aspects of myself, but projecting it onto others. So you'll see in somebody else a particular trait that I may have had once in a day, and you'll attack it. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. When really, you've reacted to it because it's made you realise, hang on a minute, I do that. But you're not going to look at your own, are you? You're going to go, oh, you're naughty, you have to stop that this minute. And that's just, you're deflecting yourself from looking at yourself. But yeah, absolutely. Declutter the mind. Bang on, Solvamist. Fun Ian's. I can't do all this stuff. I can't do all that all the time. Paul O'Neill, Jerry, it needed some rain, but fucking hell, that was some rain we got last few days. It's fine, a lot of crap cleaning, removing bushes, ivy. It's nearly there. I haven't planted yet. Very soon. Chemo kills everything. Luck saves you sometimes. Well, yeah. It's mustard gas. That's what it is. I mean, they're coming out with all sorts of fancy new ones now, aren't they, as well? I'm getting lost. Paul O'Neill says, Jerry, the McGregor show is perfect distraction. None of them are talking about important biometrics digital that Trump is introducing next month. No, they won't do. It's like we said before. They've set up this platform for, look America, look what we're doing. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, make America great again. And that's where all Americans are focused. It's where a lot of people are focused, not seeing this other stuff. So as long as you're following Jones, Tate, Tucker, and all these other guys that are keeping this, it's look what the left did now, look what we found out what the left did, oh my God. Just keeping that left-right division going, you don't see what we've been expressing on here for God knows how long. But yeah, absolutely. Sean in the chat says, evening Ulick, LFXC answer for who though, exactly? Genocide, them that want the world to themselves. Where are we? Mayweather, that's it, thanks Meander. Floyd Mayweather, yeah. We for thanks. Fasting, where was that? That shot up. Where are we? Oh my God, that shot up. Bloody hell. That really shot up. Where are we here? Right. Floyd Mayweather, that's it. And Gregor was never the same after that. No, that was his ticket from whatever he were earning as UFC, 300 million, that puts him right up there. A different level altogether. This is how it works, believe me. You know, you do a deal to do a role, and then they have to put you in that position for that role. So, of course, if you're going from here to there wealth-wise, you're going to have to do that to you before, a long period before you're actually going to step into it, because they're going to have to teach you how to act at that level. You know what I'm saying? Why do you think they set up the lottery? It's the perfect method of repaying slaves. It's perfect. You know, that's what it's for. LFX to my robbing son. Jerry says, exactly Sean, yep. Treen, hi Sean and all from the White Asylum. I'm Buffett as usual on TV. Good evening, Treen. TV's removing comments again. Is it really? That's interesting. I wonder why that happens on TV but not on internet. Maybe it's algorithms, I don't know. Interesting that, AMG. Sheep Farm Studios, evening Sheep Farm Studios. Mark says, evening Sheep Farm twice in one evening. AI must be blocking them, says Jane. It's possible that, I think. Yeah, it was 10 past, Mew says. Artificial insemination, says Jane. Go on, girl. You've got a good answer for everything. Read it correctly. It says, Be Earth Day. Birthday, don't it then? Stop trying to cheat. Be Earth. Birth. Is that not what you're saying? You trying to backtrack there, aren't you? You pardon. MG says, how's that going for you, Janet? Jerry, you're a water buffalo. Mark, happy birthday to Mew. Ulick, Sean is pissing himself. LFX to socialise. Social. C-I-O above we rise. Sunshine and a big Ernie Schwarzenegger. In his dad's white shirt, says Jerry. Well, I prefer me white. I do like my white shirt. It's better. So I'm getting too big for my other shirts now anyway, the other ones. So I did think the other week I'll try out. I'm like, no, I can't. So so there you go. Thanks for your time yesterday, Sean. It was great meeting face to face again and catching up. Not a problem, Benefactor. It was a good day and I enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed that little jaunt into Ribchester. It's a beautiful place. Treen says, happy birthday, Mew. Meander V, I'm Dutch, Sean. I try to catch on. Ah, go on there, lad. Well, Dutch and us are pretty same, we're bloody same gig, aren't we, really? It's always been these bloody Venetian moneylenders that have been our problem. Cora Blimey says you like. Treen says, hi, Lorraine. I Treen, oh, you're good. Every day's a good day these days. Yeah, we are conditioned to happy birthday. I mean, I sent mine this morning to my son, happy born day. Yeah, they're still not programmed right, though. You know, they still go, birthday's coming. God, if you don't do nothing, children, you nutters. Anyway, I'll see it. Every day's a good day, says Mew. Has anybody seen Gary Waterman on YT stuff? What do you think, Sean? Gary Waterman? I don't think I know that name. Doesn't mean I've never watched a video, but I don't think I know the name. So I don't know. I'm experiencing Earth days while in this meat suit, says Mew. Mew's definitely been on pop, haven't you? Meander V, thanks for explaining. Cheers. Well, thanks, I hope it helped. I did grab on a bit. We'll go over this Irish stuff later, another time, because it's disgusting. Absolutely fucking horrendous. It's not good. You like Holyhead. Or Holyhead. Jesus is apparently buried in the Vale of Glamorgan. I'd be interested to hear any opinion on this, as I can't find what I found 15 years ago. And fucking jocks will believe anything. You've got one guy up there, he's obsessed with spirograph. I've never seen so many ley lines. I think every ley line on planet is in Scotland, according to this fella. They will believe anything, as long as it means they hate the English. It's ridiculous. You know, it's fucking ridiculous, to be honest, but it's the way it is. So I don't know about that, me old China. But I'm pretty sure there's a naggy shaggy, I'll believe it somewhere. June Gower, good evening, Sean and chat. Evening, June. Elohim, says LFX. There's a wish in the Amish, and many nights. Mennonites. Okay. The common law, logissimus and enthumesis. My comment, ref, Charing Cross removed. Oh, I've got my laptop on as a non-sub. Can see it on my phone. So, hang on, let me get the guy. My comment referring to Charing Cross removed. I've got my laptop on as a non-sub. Can see it on my phone. Does that answer any questions for you, MG? Fish and chips. Salty. MG, never will I ever call myself British. I've always maintained I'm English, but very few understand when I explain why. Exactly, it's just been so programmed to call yourself British. It's baby boomers, that. In secret society mad. So yeah, I'm not surprised there. Riz word it differently and try again. Jane says, I noticed that Riz wondered which words stopped that being displayed. The other comment not displayed had sugar and cancer in the same sentence. Right, so algorithms are stopping certain words. Not fair dues. Well, wind and rain change, if you want to talk about that. Small that if you're talking about bankers. Bug script if you're talking about other thing. I mean, they never get pulled by algorithms, so... But you know what I'm saying, don't you? Mew, that's mad. AMG has obviously seen it. It was a bit edgy. How did you see it, AMG? We must be cloned or something. Cloned or cloned? I wasn't paying attention to the chat, says Mew. I can see it on my phone, but not the TV. Earlier I said sugar is food for Big C. It went missing. It is. Yeah. And here we are, distraction. Yeah, MG, now it appears. Now it appears, he says. Someone says, follow the way. I like that, Sean. Christianity was known as the way. Yeah, it was. The way. That's it. They've changed everything. I mean, they weren't even called Christians. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just so upside down. They've told, because this is the thing, right? Think about it. These fruit bats at the top have put out this garbage, right? And they've forced it down your neck through Sunday schools, going to church, education, and it doesn't matter which country you're in. You've had a programme shoved down your neck. And then the wizards, the priests and such, they support that programme by feeding that to you from every orifice, whichever way you go. Now, if that they're teaching you isn't the true definition of the actual doctrine upon which it's based, then you're full of shit. They know it, but you don't. It's the same way in the legal system. We go in there not knowing that by using our name, we're going in there as a dead entity. They know it. And because they've created this system in the background, for them, they can go, oh, he's a fucking idiot, he deserves it. Well, it's the same with the religions. They get you to believe garbage and bullshit, knowing full well it's garbage and bullshit, and then their idea that you're in sin carries. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you get that? It's important, that, because that is the way. This system is built on controlling garbage and bullshit. And the more people that believe in that garbage and bullshit, the more people they control. Do you with me? And it is laziness. To believe in anything is laziness, whether we like it or not. I mean, not everybody that's down here is aiming to spiritually evolve. Most people are just fodder, aren't they? The mob, as they're called. But this is how they've captured people that should know better. It doesn't matter whether you're a Jew, whether you're a Christian, or whether you're a Muslim, or a Buddhist even, because the Buddhist teaching isn't the original. It's all been obfuscated, and they've fed you garbage. Like, this... People focus on this idea of the Trinity. And every explanation you ever hear is utter nonsense. Therefore, this idea of the Trinity, as it's presented, has no basis in fact on the original doctrine. But because so many people focus to that, anybody with a bit of logic in their mind can see that it's not right. And then they throw the baby out with the bathwater. They think the entire thing is garbage. You've got to remember, these tricksters, they're expert at it, you know what I mean? And they have all the data from Babylon to implement in our time now. Yeah, it's if you believe in nonsense, you've got to be controlled by the nonsense. It's as simple as that. And even just because you don't believe you're dealing in nonsense, if in fact the reality is that you are, it's on you. It's on you. It's on you spiritually, but more importantly, in their game, just like you come in as an entity, they're laughing at you, they're going to shaft you, even though you're oblivious to it, not disclosed, they don't give a shit. They've set up their own little system, and as long as you comply with their system the way that they see it and set it up, they'll deal with you like you're a twat. You're in sin, you're coming in wrong, you're pretending to be something you're not, we've got to punish you. This is why it says, judge not, lest ye be judged. I mean, all these people are judging. They're all there judging. Everything they do, they listen to what you said, they're judging you. They curse, and they don't know it. They really have no idea. Because they believe, because they're getting pets mean prizes and position, that they're raising themselves up, when actually what they're doing is sliding down the bottom. Because that system is a pyramid, but it's inverted. And it's the gravy train. Leave them to it. Let them get on with it. They're cursed. These people are cursed. I've listened to this judge on this last thing. These fuckers they're full of shit. And they just do it day in, day out. And they really don't get it. They go home and they think, I'm bloody good, mate. No, you fucking nearly, you're bordering on being evil, pal. For what it causes in society. What it does to your neighbour. And they don't get it. They don't get it. And they don't get it because they've got lots of friends who are in the same boat. Yes, you do. Well done, Humphrey. You've done a great job today on the mob. You've fucked a pleb. Another pleb gone down there. Yes. Well deserved. Thank you very much. Well done. You've saved the day. It's all that bollocks, isn't it? Who'd want to be one? You know what I mean? Follow the way, that's it, yeah. AMG, Bristol was massive in the slave trade. It was indeed, yeah, missed out Bristol. I did a deep dive into Holodomor. Yes, interesting. Good. It's transparent. We keep on asking for it transparency, so they give it to us. Transparent. Oh. It's just not even worth getting into that nonsense. But yeah, some of this. AMG, yes, the Holodomor was horrible indeed. Sick. And they're going to do it again. And people just don't, you just can't see it. They can't believe it's going to happen like that. Oh, shit. And you know what's really sad? Is that the way they've got it set up, it's going to be these immigrant Muslims that are going to do it. And that's just going to paint the entire Muslim population in the eyes of the world with this. So it's front for fronts. They always do it through a scapegoat, a front. Anybody that's been in knows anything about how the mafia works. You know, you enter a game, you're taking the rap. If you get busted, it doesn't go any further. Money goes up, shit comes down. That's how it works. Well, they're only copying the secret societies. Do you know what I mean? It's that. But it works on such massive scales. Nations are scapegoats. Races are scapegoats. Entire religious beliefs are becoming scapegoats. It's that big how they play it. It's worrying. Earth was quoted earlier. Be Earth, says LFX. LFX, well spotted LFX, transparent. Yeah. Meander V, yes, it did. Good, thanks a lot, mate. Meander V, thanks a lot. No, you're more than welcome, and I hope it does help people to realise that the Christianity that we all think is Christianity is only it's not even a blemish on the reality of it. And it is true. This comes from the kingdom within. It comes from connecting with nature. But you do that and you can straight away spot these Solomons that call themselves Christians because, oh, you're pagan, and they have a mental fucking fit. A mental fit. Like, you're supposed to hate nature, the earth, and anything to do with it because it's pagan. Oh, of course the Catholic Church were pagan. They were in tune with the fucking old gig originally, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Catholic. I'm saying that because I've studied so much. I've been around all different cultures, societies, groups over these 33 years. You know, and I feel my way around as much as I do anything else. I mean, our study is massive, but it's the feelings that I get. That's how I operate. I feel my way around this world more than anything. So yeah, I'm well read, but I feel a lot more than, I pick up from reading. But for you Masons out there, they fucking taught me, for God's sake. Didn't think I was not going to join them, of course. And I've tried to teach you, and you're like, no, we can't do that. We have to face ourselves and realise that we're thick. What can I do? Nothing, and I'm not even going to try. Because most of you are really decent fellas. You're decent people. And you're trying to mean and do well. I can see it, but you're not. You're a mere puppet of something that you really don't understand. And you'll never understand it because they won't teach it you. And you can't listen to me. what more can I do? I'm not here to force anybody into anything. I do my thing. You take it or you leave it. There's nothing I can do. You're building your world. You're building your path, not me. Anyway. But yeah, in general, they're good people, these fellas, and it's fucking sad. It really is. And like when they do something they shouldn't, aimed at me, and they're probably thinking, oh, you bastards. I'm thinking, it's sad. It's sad that a guy at your stature, your character, sees me as an enemy. It's sad, and it saddens me sometimes. Because sometimes I get to know some of these people, and then all of a sudden they're used by the lodge to set something that they shouldn't. And it's sad that we'll relate for a time, and we connect, and then all of a sudden some lodge dick comes in and goes, and they'll do it. And it's like, what? You see, that's not trusting your own feelings, your own intuition in your own personal relationships. Because if something from external can come in and override what you felt, what you know in that friendship, and do something that you shouldn't, you're a puppet, mate. You are not in control of yourself. You're not in touch with the kingdom within. There's no Christ energy going to rise in you at Easter. It's as simple as that. Here we go. Madness with only us inmates watching. Yes. Faro de Cage. Faro de Cage. Okay. Mew says madness with only us inmates in the watching. Probably page 077Y. PO77Y. What on earth are you on about now? Call me a 9-year-old girl, you badden. Which song are you on about anyway? Got me thinking now, you bum. Tree says he's only got about 90 views per video, but I know why YT does that. Well, they do. They make it look like people will just come on and go, oh, I'm not watching that. It's not got 14 million. Yeah, that's why they do it, because it works. Mew says I wasn't offensive or insulting. Who are you offending? You mean naughty? AMG says, now Tring will think I insulted her. You were insulting everyone. I said, AMG. Should have let me get your head in until the week. He's only got about 90. Oh, yeah. I wasn't offensive or insulting. AMG, I'm okay. They don't call me Teflon Tring for nothing. That's it. That's the gig. Inside ends coincidence, inside job call. AMG, non-stuck. Teen. I'll test that. Yeah, he will and all, he's a bugger. AMG, you've not got your halo on tonight, son, who's fell off. Then one of them girls has took it. You didn't say your magic word, your safe word. I'm not sure that Gary Waterman knows the big picture, but the stuff relating to all the fraud on Company's House is pretty umptessive. Umptessive, is that a Scottish word, Tree? Useful idiot, says Mew. LFX, competent illiterate. Yeah, solemnist. Hey Sean, what was your final degree before you left the lodge? Were they angered by your departure? No, I never joined it, man. No, if you're going in the lodge in the front end, you've got to go through the degrees, you've got to go through all that, you've got to be invited and all that shit. They always invited me to stuff. First one were Knights of Malta. I was never interested. No, they came in to me at the occult side of it and thrust this upon me, thinking that they could do to me what they did to the likes of Cromwell and Hitler and these dark forces by basically plugging me into one of these fucking creatures. That's what they were doing with me. 7-year gig. But we kicked the fucking head in. Yeah? Who needed a fucking thing? Who needed an exorcism? Shawnee boy, just fuck off. Get fucked. There we go. That's why it didn't work. But I'd seen through it early. But because I were carrying on, they were carrying on. If you study the occult journey of Hitler before he became Chancellor, that's exactly what they were trying to do with me. And in truth, they fucking nearly succeeded, I'll be honest with you. Fuck me. I mean, maybe one day I'll talk about it. But that fucked it. That fucking knocked it right off. So, there you go. Here I am today. And I didn't become one of their fucking puppets. So I never joined any lodge, solving this, ever. I've never joined anything. Apart from military back in the 80s. That's it. It's the only oath I've ever taken. And she's dead now, so it don't matter. But obviously, I was only younger. I didn't fucking know my ass from my elbow back then. So no, I've never joined anything. And I don't join anything. I never have. I've always fucking led whatever I'm up to. Whether it's a band, whether it's whatever I've ever been doing. I've always been fucking leader. Always. It's just my nature. But no, I've never, ever fucking joined any shit. The idea of a secret society bores me. Because if you're secret, you're up to no fucking good. In my opinion. And I'm not one to be up to no good. You know what I mean? So, they're not for me. They're just not for me. I'm not sure. Here we go. Here we go. Non-stick trick. Yep. So whenever we're solving this, I hope I didn't give you that impression. Weaker, is it just weaker? MG, it was your singing earlier. Yeah, I'll let you off. So I might come down and play with your girlies. I'll use same safe word that you use, because obviously it doesn't work. So I like that. Right, where are we? Jerry says, thanks Sean, great midnight. Night Jerry. Paul O'Neill's take care, Jerry. We need to catch up. Tree, night Gary, sweet dreams. Chrome Well says ALFX MG, good night everyone. Bell me if you need to Rizzler. Sean, I'll get you free entry. Ooh, I'm up for that, me old China. Good night, mates. Thanks again. Sean for all the info. Best channel on YT, no doubt at all. No, thanks for that, mate. Mew says, maybe at a live event, Sean. Solve Miss, well, thanks, Sean. Solve Miss, tell us about the finger. I just did. Well, maybe we'll get in... or maybe we'll get into that sometime. But I'm just not ready to talk about it yet, you know. Really, I don't know. But anyway. Right. Happy Easter. Hope we have a great week. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. And, well, what can I say? Till the next time.
electronic engineering, electronic engineering, electronic engineering.